Okay, so it's setting up the live stream. I apologize. I forgot to set it up before.
No problem. Don't worry.
What are we going to do with all those thousands of people that are going to tune into the YouTube channel and they're going to be missing the first couple of lines?
It's okay.
You think?
We'll direct him to go
We'll tell them
somewhere else.
Okay, 1 second.
That guy will forgive you. Don't worry.
Okay, let's see if we could find where to. Oh, is that on? That doesn't ask me any questions. Okay.
No,
Yeah, it's
nothing.
on.
Keep going.
You're good.
Is it on, or I have to keep it going?
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to where we were holding.
Sponsor, yes.
Today's sponsor, the sponsor of today's broadcast is Reb David Zolti and his family. Ilu Nishvus Reb Moshe Zolti, our very own dear Reb Moshe Zolti, and we daven to the Rebbeinu Shloim that he should be a male chosher for the whole family and for the whole kehillah.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
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 Okay.
Amen.
I was just trying to. Now I'm just getting my Gemara set up. Okay, so let's see where we are up to. Zok Tehillah Gemara. So now we're going to discuss a different way that this whole conversation went down. Since you hold, Rabbi Eliezer, that these weapons are tachshitin, why is it that we're not going to have these things anymore when Mashiach comes? What are you talking about? As a matter of fact, these weapons will be out there. And Hani de Shmuel, and Shmuel would be inconsistent with Reb Barabba. Amalei Abaye le Rav Dimi. Abaye told Rav Dimi, for Amri la le Rav Avia. Some people heard that there was Abaye who said this to Rav Avia. For Amri la Reb Yosef le Rav Dimi, and other people say that this conversation was Reb Yosef talking to Rav Dimi. For Amri la le Reb Avia, or some people say it was Reb Yosef talking to Rav Avia. And for Amri la Abaye le Reb Yosef. And there's some people who said, no, you got it all wrong. It's Abaye was talking to Reb Yosef. So before we even can get to what was said, there was a whole argument about who said what.
You see what happens when you don't have live on YouTube. This is what happens.
That's right. You don't have a record. Now we can go to the videotape. My time with Rabbi Eliezer, the Omer Tachshit Nehiloi. What is the svara of Rabbi Eliezer who says Tachshit Nehiloi? Tichsiv, it's a pasuk Tehillim, and I think this is talking to the Rebbeinu Shloim. Chagor charbecha al yarech gibor. Wearing your sword and its holster on your hip is your glory and your greatness. So it seems to say that wearing these things are tachshitim. Clearly, they're tachshitim. Rav Kahana Lamar Bareder of Huna. How could you tell me that pasuk is talking about tachshitim? David Zolti is going to love this Gemara. You're going to love this Gemara. How could you say that this pasuk is talking about a sword? That it's an honor to wear it as a tachshit, we darshan that this pasuk is not referring to a real sword, it's referring to a divrei Torah. And Rashi tells us, it's telling us that you should always have a klarkite in your Torah. You should always learn Torah, and that'll be like your figurative weapon that you're always going to have on your side. Zok to Gemara, he said, you're right, that's the drash. But a mikra yoytzim midei pshutai. Even if you have a drasha from a pasuk, you never can forget the pasuk, the pshat in the pasuk. Amar Rav Kahana said, this is a huge chiddush. Kat havina bar tamne srei shenin. When I was all of 18 years old, and at that time I had already finished Shas. So I knew Shas, but I still didn't know this rule. Until today, where you're bringing to my attention that even when there's a drasha on the pasuk, you also have to look at pasuk pshat. So Rav Kahana was coming from an angle that's 180 degrees from David Zolti's angle. I never even dawned upon me that you could actually take the pasuk at face value. I thought you only look at the drash. Now,
Ayin Tachas Ayin Nefesh
I'm
Tachas Nefesh. We never.
just going to raise that. It's not 100% true.
The Gemara there says that nobody ever took it literally.
uh-huh. So he says, look at what he says. What do you learn from him? Micah Mashalon? Why do I need to know this seemingly irrelevant piece of information that Rav Kahana knew Gan Shas before he knew the rule of a Mikra Yoytze B'dei Pshutai? So it teaches you the Ligmer Inish Vada Lisper. First, you have to learn up letter. First, learn a whole bunch of letter. And then you could start learning Be'in. First, learn Bekiyas, get as much knowledge as you can. And then, on the second time around, you could focus. And Rashi says, "V'hader lizbe taimei." So let's see Rashi. Ligmor inish, ligrei shmaitzim rabbi. First, learn up letter. Even though you don't understand it perfectly. V'hader lizbe taimei. How do you know that? Akashali Rav Kahana v'leviyad lai taim. V'tamudi have a kimlei v'dahav bar tam nisri. He didn't know all of the details. He didn't understand things. And till he was older. So in fact, he probably learned ayin tachas ayin. It probably didn't make sense to him, and he never understood that maybe it's not. It doesn't really mean an eye under eye. But a kol panim, that's the issue of God. He did not even know the concept of a mikra yoytze b'dei pshutai.
So hold on one second. If that's the case, so how do we understand the rule that ein mikra yoytze midei pshutai regarding ayin tachas ayin? How do we figure that one out?
Well, his Rebbe told him. His Rebbe didn't tell him till he was 18.
No, but meaning that if it's true that we could use a drash in certain areas of the Torah, that's the way Avigdor and David reminded us. However, we do have the rule that ein mikra yoytze b'dei pshutai even on that pasuk. So how do we apply that rule to that pasuk, which seems impossible to apply?
That was their question.
That was the question. Right.
Yeah, that was the question.
How do you understand that possible?
I would suggest to you that nothing is absolute in the Gemara. They say when they say
Absolute is by Kiddush.
Yeah. It's substantially ein yoytze midei pshuta, but it's not absolutely true.
No, but this is going according to Marber of Huna, who if he holds like that, then how does he understand that pasuk? He would have to understand that pasuk literally.
It's only Rav Kahana. No, it's Rav Kahana. It's Rav Kahana who, before he was 18, or before he encountered this conversation.
No, the Omer, the Art Scroll says that the Omer is Mar, saying back to Rav.
Right, he told Rav Kahana because he held a mikra yoytze b'dei pshutai. If you want to know how he learned that Gemara.
That pasuk.
How does he learn the pasuk? What's the pasuk? The pshat of the pasuk right here.
Yeah. Can't somebody argue that the value is also the pshuta? It only means, like, it's not a drush. It's just the value of ayin tachas ayin. Like, it's
Right. That's not a drush. It's more pshat, although it's a deeper understanding of pshat.
Right. Like, meaning it could be argued that it's not a drush on that pasuk.
I like that
Right.
story very much.
No, because that's not the words of Mar. The words of Mar are simple. This is what David is going to say. Ein, meaning ein, nothing. Ein mikra yoytze midei pshutai.
There's no absolutes. Ein means in. There is mikra yoytze midei pshutai.
Yeah.
And the Vilna Gaon says on that pasuk, ayin tachas ayin, tachas ayin. What do you pay for an eye? You pay tachas ayin. You pay the letters that are below the letters of ayin. So the letter below ayin is samach, the letter below yud is chaf, and the letter below nun is samach, and that spells the word kesef. So ayin tachas ayin. If you knock at an eye, what do you pay? You pay tachas ayin. You pay the letters that are underneath the letter ayin, which is kesef.
Does that work for Shane too?
It's interesting to note. So you have a yid whose name was Rav Kahana, who knew Shas at 18 years old. So it wasn't such an uncommon thing for people to know Shas at a young age. As a matter of fact, there's a story.
I think he went to their school.
There's a story of a broken engagement that the Chafetz Chaim said over. In those days, when people saw that there was a promising young lad, someone who had kishroinis and he was motivated, and they expect that he would grow up to be big Talmid Chacham, at 13, 14, 15, they would already make engagements. And they basically, the father-in-law who wanted this Talmid Chacham or this potential Talmid Chacham for a son-in-law would pay a deposit. They would make a very big nadan, but the nadan didn't have to be paid in full. A deposit would be paid. And then when the boy turned 18, they would actually make the wedding. So there was once a bocher who was 15 years old. He was 15 years old, and he knew Shas at 15. So you can imagine what a deal was made to lock up this boy, to reserve this boy. And the engagement broke because the Shver said it was a Mekach Tos, because he found out that the boy was not really 15. He was 16. At 16, anybody could know Shas. I was looking for a son-in-law who already knew Shas at 15. And he dumped the shidduch because of it. Okay, talk to Helig Gemara. Simin Zaris. The simin to what we're going to discuss now is the word Zaris, and it's not so clear cut. There's a Zayin Reish, V'Talmidov. The Vav Tos stands for Talmidov. So I'm just going to read it out of the Art Scroll. So he says that the Reish stands for Rebbe Lozer, the Zayin. The Zayin of Zaris stands for Rebbe Lozer. The Reish of Zaris stands for Rish Lakish, and then the Talmidayan, who are the Talmidim, Reb Yirmi and Reb Abba, who the Gemara is also going to be quoting from. Omer Reb Yirmi, Omer Reb Lozer. Shnei Talmidei Chachamim hamechadid in zel hazeh b'halacha. If there are two Talmidei Chachamim that are learning together and asking kashas back and forth, and Rashi Shoyal in the Mashivin, they're asking kashas, they're answering v'lo lekapeach. They're not dueling, they're not fighting, they're not trying to one up the other guy. They're trying to work in conjunction with each other to sharpen each other, to reach the emes. So the halach is HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzliach lehem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes them be matzliach. I think what we do every day is that. We have a question of Ein Mefiyot to do B'shutei. We work on it, we try to come up with solutions. So we should be zeicha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzliach lehem, we should be zeicha to have that atzlach of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shenemar v'aderech tzalach. And the road will become successful. I'm just going to read the pasuk. V'adorcha tzlach. So it's referring to your beauty will be successful. Rechav al dvar emes v'anva tzedek v'sorcha niroi sheminecha. So it says v'adorcha tzlach al triki v'adorcha el v'chadadcha. So don't learn a lashon of hadar, learn a lashon of chadad. So we're again mikri yosef de pshutoi. When people get together to be mechaded each other with Torah, that brings to tzlach, that brings to Hashem giving us hatzlacha. V'loyoid, not only that, ela sha'olun l'gedulah, people who work together to have an understanding of Torah, to get clarity in Torah, will eventually go to very high places. Shenemar tzlach rechav, and the drasha is that if you're going to be successful in Torah, Rechav, you'll be Zoicha to go around in an honorable chariot. You'll be able to go in a stretch limousine, you'll be taken around. You'll become a dignitary. And that all comes from people getting together to learn Torah. If people come together to learn Torah, they'll have special success. I want to read, if we could take a quick detour, I want to read a Chassam Sofer from Tshuvas Chassam Sofer, which if the Chassam Sofer wouldn't have written it, I wouldn't be able to accept such a thing. And I'm going to put it on the screen because it's a fascinating piece of Chassam Sofer. I'm not sure if you could see it. I have it under the camera. So it says over here in the Chassam Sofer, I actually, Rabbi Philip texted it to me once, and I saved it as a screenshot because it was such an incredible shtickle. So he says over here, he's dashing it. It's a shtickle from a pasuk. I don't want to get into it, but he says, "Afilu sheyiyeh zeh kol Yisrael rak shekol yochad b'fnei atzmoi yishma b'kol yishchabos." No, it's not over there. 1 second. He says it's a little weiter. It's over here. Here's where he says it. 1 second. Okay, just kafilu im you call Yisrael kulam tzadikim. Even if all of Klal Yisrael will be tzadikim, v'shomim HaTorah, and they all keep the Torah. Elo she'inenu b'chevra, but it's not in a group. She'ya'ir Adam es chaveroi, where one person can be Ma'ir's friend, like we do here every morning. We all have opinions and we ask shilas and we try to get down to the bottom of things. Ozai, then ein shmiroson v'hanagoson ela al yidei malach hachoy yisovev lireov. Then their shmira will only be from the malach. V'yichaltim, ritzoni lachaltim itzara, meaning the malach will merely protect us from bad things coming to us. Because if you look at the context here, Hashem is saying that I'm going to send a malach to protect you, so you'll be protected. If you learn Torah, do mitzvahs by yourself, you'll get that protection of the malach. But the malach doesn't have the authority to give a hashpah of extra bracha to a single person who's just doing the Ratzon Hashem. Because the malach only could do what it was directed to do, and that is to protect us. But he was not given instructions to do more, and he couldn't do more anyway because he could only do one shlichus of protecting us. He can't give us a shefa. Now, here's the punchline. When Jews get together to do a mitzvah, to learn Torah together, even if we don't get the clarity that we need, and we don't end up understanding or getting the answer to our questions, we're still not clear. Nevertheless, Mikol Mokaim Hein Kael Kabir Lo Yimas. The Rebbeinu Shem loves that. Who Yisparach Shemoi Ba'atzmoi Manhigam, Hashem himself comes and takes care of us by himself. Hashem has unlimited power. He's not limited to a certain directive. Va'oz b'chol mokaim asher asker Hashemi avay alechu v'erchticha v'yeshkan refuah v'atzola u'bracha v'chula bei. Everything, we get every bracha. So even if we're not doing things perfectly, but we're doing them together, Hashem himself says, I like what I see here, and he sends us every bracha. So the words of the Chaim Sofer should all be mekuyim in us. Us as a chabur, we work together, we learn together. Hashem should help that we should have every bracha that could possibly be parnas, gezin, naches, arich hashamim, simcha, chavos das, whatever bracha we could possibly want, Hashem should give us, and then some. I don't want to limit the bracha to Hashem's brachas are greater, and that's mamish what you see from our Gemara. Zok the hele Gemara weiter.
Amen. Yossi, Shkai for repeating. You did it the first day also. The first day we started. Remember?
Yeah, but
the first day we started.
I remember that because that's this comes. I have to save it because he brings it right from a puzzle. It was a massive chiddush that if you do things together, even though they're not perfect, to their bunch they're perfect, and that's mamish what our Gemara is telling us.
Yossi Zalman. Do you know offhand where the pasuk is ayin tachas ayin shein tachas shein? Is that in Mishpatim?
I think so.
Okay, Mechi wants me to check up Tachas Shein.
Okay. Zok the Heilige Gemara weiter. So Tzlach Rechav. Yochal afilu shaloi l'shma. You might think even if they learn shaloi l'shma, Talmud Loimer al dvar emes. It has to be emes, meaning it has to be Torah l'shma. Yochal im higgis daitoi. You might think that even if he became arrogant from the fact that he's doing these mitzvahs, he became arrogant. Talmud Loimer va'anva tzedek. Let's read the pasuk inside. Alvar emes the anva tzedek. So he has to be an anva. But if oizen came, but if you do learn Torah together, l'shma, zoichin the Torah shenit nabimin. You're zoichin to the Torah that was given to Klal Yisrael with the right. Shnemar v'saracha neiroi sheminecha. So you see very clearly that to be a emes shomer Torah, which is you have to be on the right. It's not given on the left. Torah is given on the right. Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Reb Nachman Yitzchak says, Zoichin l'dvarim, you zoichin to things shenemru that were said regarding the Yemin Shel Torah. You'll be zoichin to the things that were said on the right side of the Torah. Amar Rabbi Bar Shila, Amar Reb Yosy bar Chama or Reb Sheshes, Mai dichsev Orich Yomim b'mina b'smoila oisher v'chavod. What does it mean? Orich Yomim b'mina b'smoila oisher v'chavod. Are you telling me that Ella? Are you saying that on the right side of Torah there's only Orich Yomim but no Oisher v'Chavod? Ella, the way you have to darshan the pasuk, And Rashi says what maiminimba means, that they hadava on it to get clear. Maiminimba Rashi is maiminim shel Torah shemefashmeshim tameim bediktuk. They work hard to get a clarity in understanding the meaning of the Torah. Ubayrin ki min hamiyumenes l'malacha, and we clarify and sift the Torah to get clarity, like the right hand that's prepared to do work. Zok to Gemara. So any person who works hard will get both Oisher v'Chavod and Orech Yom. Will get both. So therefore, but the people who are slackers on the Torah, they don't work so hard on the Torah. So that's one pshat that Rashi says. That Maiminimba means they put their whole koich into to understand Torah. The Masmilimba are people who don't put in their whole strength. And Rashi is another pshat. Inami Maiminimba oiskin l'shma, Masmil l'shaloi l'shma. Or it means l'shma or shaloi l'shma. You still get a great schos, but Orech Yomim Leka, you don't get Orech Yomim. He brought in a very nice shtickle from the Belzer Rebbe that says that it's part of another shtickle that I don't want to get into, it's late, but he said that the shiris that you get, stamazoi, and the shiris that you get because of the schus of Torah are two different sets of ashiris. The ashiris that you get is a schar. The regular you should get a schar, which means you're paying for it. But ashiris that you get because of Torah is given to you so that you should continue to have peace of mind, and you should be able to be focused on your learning. That's not your schar. That's your expense account. A good salesman gets an expense account, but that doesn't come off his wages. His pay he gets beside that. So the Oisher v'Chavod that's given to someone who's learning Torah is merely a tool to do his work, to do his kodesh, but it won't come off of his schar. And he brings down from a sefer called Karen LeDavid a beautiful word. Most people don't have that luxury of being able to sit and learn the whole day. Most people have to be oisik ala michya ala chalkala. Most people have to work hard to support their families. And many people spend more time working than learning because that's what it takes. Thank you very much. To support a family. Zok the Gemara over here. Someone who's learning Torah, whenever he can, he gets credit as if he was learning a whole day, even when he was working, because that's really what he was working for. And that's called Orech Yomim. His days become longer. His days become longer because we're crediting him as if he learned all that time where he wasn't learning, because that's really what he wanted to do. Like they say the famous story with the lawyer who died at 50 years old. And when he got up to Shemaim, he complained. The first thing he did is he protested. Objection, I'm only 50 years old. So the Malach tells him, you're only 50 years old. We looked at your billing statements. According to your billing statements, you should be 200 years old because that's how long you billed for. So when you're learning Torah, you actually get that double billing because it's considered that we learned all those hours, even though we weren't learning, but everything else that we were doing was to facilitate our learning, to facilitate our Yiddishkeit, so we get schar for that as if we were learning. Zok the Gemara weiter. Omer b'Shum ben Lakish. Shnei Talmidei Chachamim. I'm not sure if I read the Gemara, so let's just go back. El b'mina Orecham ika Oisher v'Chavod. Leka el mamina ba. Orecham mika v'Chol Oisher v'Chavod. El esma'ila ba Oisher v'Chavod ika Orecham leka. Omer b'Shum ben Lakish. Shnei Talmidei Chachamim hanoichen zelazeh b'Lacha. Two Talmidei Chachamim who are noichen zelazeh. Rashi says noisen v'noisen ba. They're going back and forth, they're schmoozing and learning, but not with a sinah, not with an I got you type of attitude. Rather, they're learning together softly with love for each other to be able to get clarity. So that what happens then? HaKadosh Baruch Hu makshiv lahem. Hashem is there listening to them. Shenemar oz nidburu yirei Hashem. So let's read the whole pasuk inside. It says, oz nidburu yirei Hashem. Ish el re'eyu, and then vayakshev Hashem vayishmo. When Ish el re'eyu talks to each other, the lashon dibur, then Hashem listens. Now, at first glance, you might say that vayedaber is a lashon kasha. So the Gemara says here, ein dibur el nachas. The dibur in this pasuk means nachas. Shenemar, it's not referring to the vayedaber Hashem or Moshe Lemar. It's going to the Yadber Amim Tachtenu, nations will become subservient to us. So if each of the two Talmid Chacham learning with each other are subservient to each other, they're not trying to one up their friends. Rather, they're looking to learn from their friends and be mashpil themselves, as Rashi says. That's what's going to get them to be zoiche to Hashem will listen to them. That's one pshat that Rashi said. The other pshat that Rashi said is they're allowing themselves to be led by their friend. And nechei, which is to lead, the Rashi brings out, the Targum says the word for the Targum word for nechei is yadber. So it either means each one is letting their friend lead them, or they're being very soft, and each one is being subservient to their friend. And Hashem will listen to such a person. Now the end of the pasuk says, so I'll read the pasuk. As nidbar yir Hashem yishareyu v'yakshav Hashem v'yishma v'yikasev sefer zakaron lefanov liyuri Hashem u'lechosh v'shemoy. So what does it mean u'lechosh v'shemoy? Omer b'ami afilu chishiv lasos mitzvah v'nenas v'layasa. Even if someone only intended to do a mitzvah, but things were out of his control and he was not able to complete that mitzvah, he wanted to get married and the pandemic didn't let him. The Torah considers it as if he did a mitzvah, and he brings down from somebody, from the Eved Yecheskel, that someone who had a machshava to do a mitzvah and was nenas and couldn't do the mitzvah, it's possible that his schar is even greater. It's ma'ila of a kosov kilos, but even greater than the one who actually did the mitzvah, because he didn't even get satisfaction of doing the mitzvah. He wanted to do the mitzvah and he didn't get the satisfaction. So he had all of the effort to do the mitzvah with none of the reward. So he has a great schus, as if he did the mitzvah, and even more than that. If someone does the mitzvah, in Yiddish we say, he does it the way it's supposed to be done. That's the Pashup Pshat in Kamamora. He will never hear bad besuris. I just want to quickly look into the ArtScroll because he brought down two pshatim in Kimamora. And I don't see it here in Rashi, so I'm just going to read it from the ArtScroll where it says Kimamora. It's 39. Either for its own sake, he says for the Marsha means Kimamora l'shma, or means without deficiency Kimamora, following every detail of the halacha, and he brings that from the Maral. Shedemar, it says in the pasuk, Shomer mitzvah lo yedid avara. Someone who does a mitzvah won't know from bad news. Omer Abasi. Omer Abasi, v'itemer Abchanina afila kadosh baruch hu goyzer gzeira. Even if Hashem is goyzer gzeira, hu mevatla. This person who's shomer mitzvah will be able to be mevatla gzeira. Shedemar, it says in the pasuk, V'asher dvar melech shilton u'miyoyim l'mayaseh. When the king does something, he's the boss. Nobody could tell him, what are you doing? Nobody can call him out on it. However, who could call him out? The next pasuk was, Shomer mitzvah yedid avara. So even a king who says something, no one can argue with it. Nevertheless, the Shomer mitzvah has this koyach to be mevatel about Gzeira. Omer Abba Omer B'Shim Ben Lakish. Shnei Talmid Chacham hamakshivim zeh lezeh be'alacha. Two Talmid Chacham who listen to each other. Rashi touches that as zeh lezeh lahem ani omer. So what do I say to people who listen to each other? I'm sorry. Hamakshivim Rashi is melamdin zeh seh umavinim zeh mizeh. They teach each other and they understand from each other. So they're cooperating nicely. Ba'alacha HaKadosh Baruch Hu shemeh l'kolam. Hashem listens to their voice. Shenemar hayesheves beganim chaverim makshivim l'koilach hashmini. People who are listening to each other, learning in the garden, Hashem says, Hashmini, I want to hear what you're saying. And if they don't do that, then it's on the flip side, Gorin l'shchina shemistalekus misrael. That actually causes that the shchina should go away. Shenemar, it says after that, Barach doidi, run away, my friend. So you see that if someone doesn't do that, Hashem doesn't want to be there. Omer Abba, Omer Abshim Ben Lakish, Shnei Talmid Chacham hamadgilim zeh lezeh be'alacha, who are madgil each other. Rashi says madgilim means ma'asvin zeh seh. They gather each other together. But I remember they say, boy v'nilmoid, come, let's learn. V'novin beit shenenu, and between the two of us, we'll be able to get clarity. Hoil v'ein lo nurav l'lamdenu. since we don't have a Rebbe to teach us, let's work it out together. Let's see if together we can work hard and figure out the halacha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem loves them. Shenemar v'diglu olai ahava. When diglu is a lotion of a banner, the banner of such a thing is ahava. Amarava, that's only if there's two people who don't have a clue about what they're doing and they're going to sit there without their Rebbe and mess everything up. That's not what Hashem likes. We're talking about the Huda Yadi Tzuras of the Shmaisa. They have a little bit of an understanding. Rashi says, Sharish Hadavar Ksas Lamdu Merabim. They learned basically from their Rebbe. They learned to share from their Rebbe. Now together they're going to chazer it over to get clarity. But they can't really go it on their own completely. That would be misguided. And Huda Leslu Rabbi B'Masala Migmina. And the only way we admire somebody who tries to build upon what he learned from his Rebbe and tries to get clarity in it, that's only if he doesn't have a Rebbe here to ask. But Avad, if he has a Rebbe here to ask, that's the way he should go. Omer Baba, Omer Shimon ben Lakish. Gadol Hamilva Yoshim Nois Tzedakah. It's a bigger mitzvah to lend someone money than it is to give someone money. Because that's more b'derech kovid, the only feels like he can pay it back. That he's paying it back, he's not taking much. It's not as humiliating to take a loan as it is to take a handout. But the very best way you can help somebody is by investing with him. Instead of lending him money, if you invest with him, you open up a venture with him, that's really making him feel that he's doing it, that he's sort of bringing his game and he's also part of it. And at the same time, you're giving him greater opportunity to grow. Rashi is either mois or malai or product to make profit, even if the investor is going to take 50% of the profit. So that's the best of all, because then you're giving someone most opportunity. A and B is you're likely to invest more money with somebody than you would simply lend somebody, because this is a venture that you also have an upside towards.
Yeah, just as a thought, I think that's really what the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling us with the Torah too. I'm giving it to you with matana, but I'm also lending it to you. I want you to work with the capital. I want you to reap the investments that you take with the Torah as a loan. Look at it as a loan and work the ground, pound the pavement with it, and watch the rewards that you receive from it. The theme of the Gemara. What's that?
Hashem gave us the Torah is to understand it. And as a matter of fact, that's the drushes the base of Levi learns. Now, what does it mean Hashem gave us the Torah? Everybody can have the Torah. He gave us the authority over the Torah. That our Batidim can paskin and explain what Torah is. HaTorah Lo B'Shamayim. So Hashem literally gave us the Torah to expand upon and to work with.
But Shabbos tonight is meant to enjoy. Matana Tova Yeshli Bebeis Gniza. Tonight we enjoy. We don't have to. It's a gift.
That's right. And Chaim told us we're supposed to drink l'chaim on Shabbos as well. But today we're going to drink l'chaim before Shabbos as well to 100%. Celebrate the Oifruf with Akiva. Ephraim's Oifruf is the Shabbos. When you throw at the screen candies, the Rav suggested last night that you throw like marshmallow soft candies because he doesn't want you to break your screen. He doesn't want you to break the glass. So when you try to throw something gentle. Zok the Gemara. So Abba Amar B'Shim Ben Lakish Im Talmud Chacham Noikim V'Noiter K'Nachash. Even if the Talmud Chacham might be lacking in midas because he takes nekama like a snake, even that, nevertheless Chagrei Al Mosecha. Take him on your belt. In other words, he's still a good tool. He's still good to have as a friend because you'll be able to eventually benefit out of him. Stick with him, even though he's not such a great guy. Eventually, you'll be able to benefit from the Torah that's going to come off of him. But in Amaretsu, Chosid, if you have someone who's an Amaretz, but is a very fine person, don't hang out with him. And Rashi says, since he doesn't know the details of the mitzvahs, his chassidus cannot be complete. You're eventually going to pick up some undesirable thing from him, and therefore you better hang out with the Talmud Chacham who doesn't have perfect midas. than an Am Oretz who seems to be a chassid. Omar Khan, Omar B'Shem Ben Lakish, Amila Omar Ba'asi, Amila Omar Reb Abba, Omar B'Shem Ben Lakish. Kol Hamegadol Kelev Ra B'Soich Beisai. Anyone who raises a bad dog in his home, Moineach Chesed Mitoich Beisai. He's preventing Chesed from resting in his home. Shenemar Lamos Mireu Chesed. And Rashi tells us that lamos is a term used to say the word dog. Lamos mirei chesed. If a person has a dog, a lamos, he's going to lose chesed. He's going to lose chesed.
Yeah, I heard Burl Wine say that when he was Rav in Miami, there was a guy that had a dog. He said he was a gever and he had a big dog. He said he made his house mashulch proof.
Indeed. That's right.
Yossi, the Gemara said a bad dog, and then the pasuk that it quoted just said a dog, period.
So it seems like any dog is bad.
Right.
I think
Rabbi Price would argue with that, maybe.
I know. They say that I heard a friend say that Kelev, the word comes from Kol Lev, it's full of heart. It's very loyal to his master.
Kol Lev, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. What about service
it's not
dogs?
Dafka. There are many good dogs out there. You have all these dogs. They have these people that bring the dogs to the hospitals. The therapy dogs. They're unbelievable. These dogs.
Or police dogs.
The mice. Why aren't we allowed to have them? Like, what's the?
We are.
It just says it just removes chesed. Let's finish the Gemara because it gets worse. Let's have this discussion after because it actually gets worse. It actually gets worse. Zok the Gemara. If someone has a dog, it takes away his Yer Shemayim. Shenimar v'yer shaka yazoy. The pasuk says lamas marechazet v'yer shaka yazoy. So the Gemara tells us a story. Hahi itza, the Ayla lahu beisa, the Meifa. A woman went into a home to bake. I guess there was she was borrowing. She asked her neighbor, "Would it be okay if I use your oven? My oven broke down and I want to bake my bread." He said, "Sure, come on in." And her neighbor had a dog, Novach bo kalba, and the dog barked at her, and that shocked her. It startled her. It's akar v'loda, and she miscarried. Omer la mari de beisa. So the owner of the house said, they dealt to me all the time as the dog is gnawing at my ankle and biting into my calf. Don't worry about my dog. My dog is just friendly. Don't worry about my dog. The shakli nive, I took out his incisors. V'shakila tofrei, I took out his claws. Amalei, she said, you know what? Thanks for nothing. Shkula tifuzech v'shadi. It's too little, too late. Take your friends v'shadi achizri and shove it where the sun don't shine. Kvarnot Vlad, I already miscarried because of your crazy dog. So what you're telling me now doesn't really help much. So now we can have that conversation. What about a good dog? What about a good dog? I don't know. I'm just reading the Gemara. As someone who's afraid of dogs, it makes me feel good to see this Gemara.
Interesting shir.
I'm sorry?
Said that what is it? If a dog barks uncontrollably, based on this Gemara.
A bad dog is a dog
that scares people.
I don't know, but as I stayed over here, I know that my neighbor it's in his house. My neighbor used to have a dog at his place of work. My father used to have dogs at his place of work as guard dogs. So actually, he brings down over here that the reason why he loses Yer Shemayim when he has a dog is because why does someone have a dog? For security purposes. So if he doesn't have a moon in the Rebbeinu Shalom, his mezuzah is a shmira, his mitzvahs are a shmira, and he feels that he needs the dog as the extra shmira. That's why it says he loses his Yer Shemayim. So
Yossi, do you have
hard Gemara to understand? My father used to have a dog he used to have a dog tied up in his yard. So if someone got into the yard, they wouldn't get out.
Yossi Zalman, do you have an alarm system?
I do, but I don't think I ever turned it on. But it's not because I'm such a maimin.
It's on YouTube.
I never go anywhere. I have a programmable thermostat, but I don't use it either because we're always home, especially now. So there's no setback.
Yeah, but you just announced to the world that you never turn your alarm on.
But I also announced to the world that someone is always home.
And he also didn't tell anybody where he lives.
Well, if you break into my house and you see those two windows, then you know you found the right place. Okay. Zog to Gemara weiter. Omer Avuna. It says in the pasuk, Smach bocha b'yoldesecha, party hardy when you're young. V'yativcha libach b'meibechusecha, do whatever makes you happy. Follow your heart. Do whatever you want. V'halach b'darkei libcha, follow the ways of your heart. Uvamar inecha, follow your eyes. V'da, and know, ki akol ela yiviyacha lakim b'mishpat. And then the party comes to an abrupt halt. And know that all the various you do, you're going to be punished. Zok to Gemara, Ad kan divrei yetzer hara. The first half of the pasuk, where the pasuk is saying party hardy, go after your eyes, go after your heart, that's the yetzer hara talking. And then the Yetzer Tov comes in with a big bucket of cold water and splashes it on you and says, Ki al kol elu yiviyacha lakim b'mishpat. He brings sanity back. Kan velach divrei yetzer Tov. V'shloka shomar different shot. Ad kan divrei Torah. When we say party hardy and go crazy, it means Rashi says Sameach b'talmudcha l'moed misimcha u'mituvleiv v'halach b'darkei libcha l'havin ma b'libcha l'pirois enecha. It means you should harvin Torah and learn Torah, and then you should follow the ways of Torah. Mikan veilach l'maisim tovim. So the first half of the pasuk is saying party hardy, meaning learn b'simcha and gather as much learning as you have. And now that you learned everything, we'll tell you, now that you learned it all, make sure to keep it all. Make sure to follow what you learned. And that's the second half of the pasuk. Now we're back to Hilchos Shabbos. Biris Torah. Biris is this garter that would hold up someone's pantyhose or stockings. Reb Yehuda, Biris zu etzada. It's a type of bracelet that goes around your arm. So when I touched it as a garter, that's the Gemara is going to arrive at that destination shortly. But at first, Reb Yehuda said it's merely a bracelet. Masav Reb Yosef, how could you say that a bracelet is not a keli and you can't carry it? It says in the Brisa, biris tahara v'yotzabav Shabbos. It says exactly the opposite of what our Mishnah says about a biris. The ilu etzada tmeyahi, and we also know that an etzada. I'm sorry, Masav Yosef. It says in one place biris tahara v'yotzabav Shabbos v'ilu etzada tmeyahi, but we know an etzada is tamei. Sorry, it says a biris is tahara, but an etzada we know is tamei. So how could you say that a biris is an etzada if we know that a biris is tahar and you were allowed to go out with it on Shabbos, and that's others tamei? But more halchikamer, biris tachas etzada omedes. What he meant was a biris is a bracelet, but that bracelet that doesn't go on the arm. It's a bracelet that goes on the leg. It goes on the thigh. That's how Rashi learns. And therefore it's not a keli. Why is it not a keli? Why is it tahar? So Rashi says hilchach tahira the lavu nohi. It's not something that's made as an ornament. It's covered up. It doesn't also directly serve the person that's wearing it. The purpose of this biris is merely to support the stockings. So it's a keli that's being mishamish a keli, and not directly being mishamish the person. Similar to the rings that kelim have that you hang them with. We learned earlier the tahar. A ring of a keli is tar because it's not mishamish the person, it's mishamish the keli. But you are allowed to walk out with them on Shabbos. The tzorech levishahi. It's a tzorech levisha. You need it to keep the pantyhose up. And we don't have to worry that she's going to take it off and show it to her friends. She's never going to uncover her thigh in public, and therefore you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos, even though it doesn't have the status of a keli. Joseph, Ravin, Rav Huna, Kamed Reb Yirmiyah. Ravin and Rav Huna were sitting in front of Reb Yirmiyah. Yosef Reb Yirmiyah become an amnon, and Reb Yirmiyah sat and was sleeping. Similar to the Satam Rebbe, if you would walk in and he was sleeping, you think he was sleeping, but he was very much not sleeping. He was very much there. And what's the story here? Reb Yirmiyah also looked like he was sleeping. Yosef Ravin the Amar biris ba'achas. Biris is if you have it only on one leg. Kfeilim is b'shtayim if you have a set of them, one for each leg. Zok to Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, elu ve'elu b'shtayim. both are with two, both mean with two, and umatilin shalshelish beinein nasufein. So it's called a biris, even if you have two of them. Each individual one is called a biris, and you're allowed to go out with it on Shabbos. And it's not tomik, it's not a keli like we said. But when the Mishnah says that kvelim is a keli and it's Torah, it's talking about if she had these two rings around each of her thighs, bishal shelish shaboy mashvalimana, and they actually had a chain that went from one to the other. So in a way, her legs were sort of chained together. Her legs were chained together, and we're going to soon see why somebody would want to chain their legs together. The chitema Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, and if you're going to say like Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, omer Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, omer Reb Yochanan, minayin lemashmiya koil v'chlematche shotame. So our problem here is, why is kvelim tamei if it's just two sets of etzados, which we're saying, or two sets of two beers, which is not tamei? And if you want to say it's because when you have two together, it's going to make noise when you walk. So it's a keli that makes noise. And we learned earlier from the pasuk Shneimar called davar sheyavi be'esh, and we learned that davar is dibur, afilu dibur b'mashma. And from that pasuk we learned that any device that makes noise, that's designed to make noise, is considered a keli l'gabi tuma. It doesn't make sense to say that, because bishlam hasam kaboy lekala lekavod ma'aser. There we're talking about kelim. We're talking about a bell. It's a keli that you need as you need it for its noise. That's what its intended purpose is, and you're doing a ma'aser, and that's what you do. That's what you're doing with it. How my ma'aser kavod? What ma'aser are we doing over here to change it from the status of just a regular bracelet or a ring to a keli that makes coil that you want to say should be tummy? So tomorrow hachanami kavod ma'aser. Here, in fact, there's a very important ma'aser that we do to make this into a keli. Why is it that a woman would try to chain her thighs together? It's because there was a family in Yerushalayim. They took very long steps. Each of their steps was very long, meaning they spread their legs a lot as they were reaching out for a long step. And because of that, it would actually cause these women to lose their basulim because they stretched their legs so far apart. And therefore, Alsalam Kvelim, we made this device where their thighs are chained together, so it restricts the distance that they can put their thighs apart from each other. It would stop them from taking such long steps, and that protected their basulim. So Rashi, now this chain is no longer servicing the pantyhose. It's directly serving the person. That gives it the status of a keli. Lav tashmish kli. It's not merely serving her pantyhose. The loisakabel tuma. Rather, it's serving the person directly, and therefore it's makabel tuma. But vein yotzeben, why can't you go out with them? She's not going to take off these rings because dilma shavel shal sheles, because she could remove the chain that's connecting her two thighs. She shall zov, because the chain was made out of gold. Umechavi, and that shall show to her friends the chishakla shal sheles lemigla shuka, because she can take the chain off without uncovering her shaykh. Sharei biris b'mkavimedes, because she's leaving the rings in place. She's just taking off the chain. And the reason why the Mishnah says that the kavelim are tamei, it's because the chain makes it into a keli. And the reason why you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos is the reason why you're not allowed to wear it on Shabbos is because you might take that chain off on Shabbos, and that's where there's a problem.
How could she take the chain off without lifting up her skirt, dress, or whatever she's wearing?
I was thinking the same thing. So it must mean that the act of taking it off she might be able to do in a tznistic way, but she can't take, and the chain she could take out without her pantyhose falling down, but the actual loops that went around her thighs, the garters themselves, she couldn't take off because then they would fall down. Even though when Rashi talks about it, I believe Rashi says that the reason why they don't take it off is because when they take it off, Rashi's lashon is it does say shelo yiplu v'yirshokah. So the problem is after she takes it off, it's going to expose her shaykh. So it's not the act of taking it off that's the problem. The problem is if she takes it off, her pantyhose will fall down.
Yeah, but she knows that when she takes it off, that's gonna happen. She won't take it off.
That's exactly why she's allowed to wear it on Shabbos, because she won't take it off. So
No, I'm talking about the chain. You're just talking about the ring. I'm talking about the chain itself.
Yeah, well, the chain she's not allowed to wear on Shabbos because we're afraid that she'll take the chain off.
Well,
but the 2 rings she is allowed to wear on Shabbos because we know she would never take those off in public.
These chains were not visible, were they?
Well, they were in
were they
her
on
legs.
the ankle?
I can't imagine they were by her ankle because these garters were probably on her thighs.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how would you able to take it off without exposing.
I'm not sure exactly how they would do that.
I guess I don't know. All right.
Yossi, what's the chiddush of this? Because I mean, if it's only one case, there's only one family this was affected to, it makes it into the Mishnah. It must be teaching us something beyond just this particular case. What's the chiddush?
It must have been something that people wear. You know, people.
I mean, Gemara says it's for one family.
No, it's saying a story about a family, but
did this.
It's an anecdote. Yes, it's an anecdote, but it doesn't mean it wasn't done.
What I'm asking, the Gemara seems to be saying that this only happened for one family. My question is that there must be something that's a chiddush in this particular halacha that we don't see from the other cases. That what is that? Is it because they won't take it off on Shabbos? So if you have something that you won't take off on Shabbos, then you're allowed to wear that out. Is that ultimately what we're learning from this case?
Well, that wouldn't be the chiddush in this case because we know that halacha already from previous cases.
Right. So
the chiddush is that these garters are those types of devices. They're the types of things that a woman wouldn't take off, and the chain is the type of thing that a woman would take off.
So
the halacha we know already.
It's something you would take off. You're still allowed to wear it.
No, you're not allowed to wear it.
You're not allowed to wear it. So what is that again? Don't we know that already? That if
we know that once something is established, something that they would not take off, they may wear it on Shabbos. And once it's established that something that they would take off, they may not wear it on Shabbos. Now we're trying to classify individual items. What category does it fall into? So all we're doing here is we're classifying that the biris is something that they would not take off, and that's why you can go out with it on Shabbos. And the chain is something that they would take off, and that's why she may not wear it on Shabbos. So all we're doing is we're identifying each item, what status is. The general rule we already have from the beginning of the parak, and the whole parak was listing off item by item. Each item, is it the type of item that she could wear? What category does it fall into? So these are not generalizations. These are very item-specific halachas, and it's just giving us an assessment of what their status is. It's not I don't think we're learning any broad halacha from it.
Doesn't it seem strange that would make it into a Mishnah?
So why are you asking on this? Almost all these items are.
We can ask you on any of these, really. I'm just.
Oh, you're asking because this chain was something that was used by one family in Yerushalayim.
Yeah. The other ones are more general. They're more general things. This is one particular. The Gemara says it's one particular family that did this. So the other things are more general. They're kalim that were more generally used. But for one family to use it, I would think that there must be a chiddush. Otherwise, why would it make it into a Mishnah?
I guess it was a little bit more common than we thought, and they saw the need to mention. But the point is well taken. Why would they tell us a halacha that's only negated to one family? Why should the Rav say that in the shir? Let the Rav speak to that person privately and let them know about it. I hear. It's a very good point. And after all this, could you imagine through all this excitement, Reb Yirmiyah slept through the whole thing? Is there Reb Yirmiyah? Reb Yirmiyah suddenly came to, and he said, Yiyasher, you know what? You're right. So clearly, v'chein omer Reb Yochanan, and Reb Yirmiyah said, I also heard this over the name of Reb Yochanan. So don't think I was sleeping. I was up the entire time. I also heard what you said about, okay, no, he didn't say that. I heard everything you said. I don't think that I was sleeping. There's a beautiful story with the Satmar Rebbe. Look what time? If it's late, I don't want to say that story. It is. Oh, it's 8:43. It's very late. So let's quickly finish.
We got to stop. Oh, you want to stop? You want to go?
it's up to the oilam. There's a Mishnah, right? There's two dots on the first line on Amud Aleph, and it's an easy Gemara. But we can continue this much.
Okay, make a run. You want to make a run? Go.
I'm gonna make a run. Zot the Gemara weiter. Kiyasher Reb Dimi Omer Reb Yochanan. When Reb Dimi came, he said to them, Reb Yochanan, Minayin la'orek kolshu tamei. How do you know that if you have a woven piece of cloth that's very, very tiny, even smaller than 3 fingers by 3 fingers, but you made it for a specific purpose, that it's going to be tamei? Mitzitz, we know it from the tzitz because the tzitz was a small little thing and it was tamei. Amalei Abaye, the tzitz argu, the tzitz wasn't a woven fabric. We know the tzitz was a tablet of metal. V'atanya tzitz kamin tas shel zov, v'roichem shtei etzbais. It was 2 etzbais, umukif me'oizen la'oizen, and wrapped around from ear to ear. The kosav alav aveshiten, and in 2 lines they wrote Kodesh Lashem. So the way it worked is the Yudke Vavke was Lamaila. On the upper line it said Yudke Vavke, and on the lower line it said Kodesh Lamed. Because really what it was trying to say is Kodesh Lashem, but it's not appropriate that anything should be on the same level as the word Yudke Vavke. So they broke out the Kodesh and the Lamed, and they made it on the lower line, and Lashem, the Yudke Vavke was on the top line. That's what Rashi learns. Tosfos learns that it's inappropriate because you can't read it straight. You're reading it backwards. So Tosfos says even though the Kodesh Lamed was on the lower line, it was offset. So I'm just going to hold the camera over the list. So Rashi learns, here we write Yudah. It's really Yudke Vavke, but the article doesn't want to write Yudke Vavke. So it's the Yudke Vavke on top, and then below it's Kodesh Lamed, Kodesh Lashem. Tosfos says you couldn't read it properly. This way you could read it, Kodesh Lashem. So even though it's on a line above, it's offset so that it still reads as one sentence. So that's how the tzitz work. So Zok to Gemara, but that was made out of metal. It wasn't a woven thing. It was not a woven thing. I saw it. I actually saw it myself. I was in Rome. I got into the museum. So it's funny, even though Rebbe Eliezer claims that he actually saw it, they ignored him. They still maintained what they held, that it was on 2 rows. When Reb Dimi came to Nardah, he sent him that I told you earlier, that if you have a small piece of fabric, it's going to be tamei. I'm mistaken, because this is what Rabbi Yochanan really said. How do you know if you have a tiny little earring, even if it's tiny, tamei? That you know from the tzitz, because that's a hard piece of gold, and you learn that no matter how small it is, if it's a takshit, it's tamei. And how do you know that you have a very small piece of woven fabric that it's tamei? We learned that out of the pasuk oy beged. You actually don't learn it from the tzitz. Tanur Orek kolshu tamei, a tiny little woven fabric is tamei. The takshit kolshu tamei, and a tiny little takshit is tamei. What about orek v'takshit kolshu? What if you have an item that's partially woven and partially gold or precious stones? What's the luck with that? Tamei, it's also tamei, meaning even though you have to rely on the 2 parts, it's still going to be tamei. Moisiv sak ala beged, a sack, a sackcloth which is woven has an extra tumah that a beged does not have. Shetame mishum org, that a sackcloth is tamei because of a woven beged. Omer Rava, orek kol shehu tamei. How do I know that even a tiny woven thing is tamei? Me oy beged. I learned it from oy beged. Takshit kol shehu tamei. How do I know that? Me tzitz, from the tzitz. Oreg v'takshit kol shehu tamei. How do I know that? I know that from kol kli ma'aser, which is a pasuk that's referring to tumas meis. Amalei humar ban l'rava hahuba midyinksid. That's talking about tumas meis. So maybe davke by tumas meis, which is chomer, do you learn that a tiny piece of woven fabric is tamei? But who said lagabi tumas sheretz, lagabi less severe tumas? Who said that a small piece of fabric is also tamei? Amalei, he told him, gomer kli klimi hasam. You're right. You learned it from the pasuk. But the Zereshavi just tells you that a keli is identified as something that's even a small woven item is considered a keli, and therefore it would be tamei. And I guess we could stop here. When are we learning Motzei Shabbos?
Zalman?
Yes.
I want to tell you a chap that I just...
Before we continue, before the oilam hangs up, I just want to determine what time we're learning Motzei Shabbos. Is 10:30 a good time? Okay, so it's 10:30. 10:30, Motzei Shabbos, we'll be learning Daf Samach Dalet. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a wonderful Shabbos. And for those who can, please tune in at 4. We're going to have Akiva's Oifruf at 4 o'clock.
A Friday.
Beautiful.
A Friday.
Still here? David still here?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here. I am.
How about Duvi?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So this is my chap. It cost me 10 minutes of thinking. I lost half of shear. The rule, tell me what you think of it. The rule, Ein Mikra, that Mar said, is across the board. Ein Mikra Yotzi Midei Pshuta is really across the board. In the Pasuk, like Ayin Tachas Ayin, where we cannot apply it, I would say that Mar had the Siyata Deshmaya to express himself with the words Yotzi Midei Pshuta, so that we could interpret those words that a person cannot fulfill the Pasuk Midei Pshuta by itself. Ein Mikra Yotzi Midei Pshuta, Mar's words will also sometimes be interpreted differently.
Very nice. Very nice. So you can use a poetic, you're allowed to use a poetic license to understand Mar's words.
Right. Ein Mikra Yotzi, you can't fulfill it. Midei Pshuta, you need the Gemara.
Very nice.
So I thought that the idea of what we call Pshuta Shel Mikra, even that needs really a gift. We think Mikra Midei Pshuta means eye for an eye. But if you learn Pshuta the way you could be Zoichet to, right away would mean money. It would never mean eye. But the Torah is trying to tell you whatever you logically think is Pashup Shat Nechumish may not be Pashup Shat Nechumish.
Akiva, that's spoken like a person who learns the Sichas of the Rebbe, who delves into the Pshuta Shel Mikra according to Rashi. And you see there's a lot more to Pshuta Shel Mikra than meets the eye. Ayin Tachas Ayin. There's a lot more to Pshuta Shel Mikra than meets the ayin.
Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos.
Kiva.
Okay, so we can call that? Okay, Shkoyach, we will see you at 4 o'clock.
Mitzvah Shem.
I got something out of the box.
I have my bottle ready.
Oh, very good. Okay.
What do you say?